Are we live? Let me put out a... whatchamacallit. Another link. Alright. Well, I'll try this one more time. Okay. I'm gonna text my brother real quick. I don't know what it was about that first live stream that went so well. But the last two, it's like the world is conspiring, or like my technology is conspiring against me. It's like I'm not that significant of a person if my computer's gonna hate me. I should probably do something worth hating over first. No, that's the story of my life. Stuff like this happens a lot. Except for the first stream, surprisingly. Okay, well, y'all have been looking at this for a little too long, so let's get rid of it. Let me try and think of some things to say before the stream craps out again. Okay, I've been thinking of doing actual videos, but I don't know what, hey, it's Peggy Mo XD. What's up, boy? Anyway, I've been thinking of actual videos to do, that I could do, the concept of making videos, but I don't know what y'all want to see on the channel. I'm obviously trying to go for, you know, this is, here, let me respond real quick. Sign into chat. Don't tell me to sign into my own chat. Here, let's go to YouTube. Great. Anyhow, I want this to be like a, for lack of a better word, like a marketing thing for eventually comics. Well, I still wanted to write it out for you, just to make sure that the chat's working on my end too. I'm still getting used to all of this, and everything worked perfectly during the first stream. The second one, and now this one, that's not the case. But anyhow, if you have ideas for videos you'd like me to see, let me try it again. If you have ideas you would like, of videos you would like me to make, good heavens, then let me know. I would say in the chat, but I don't know how long the video is going to be up. Let me know on Twitter. Let me know on Twitter. That's really it's really the best place. So let's get rid of this. First order of business, I wanted to look at some of the sketches I did throughout the week, and we'll start with the dumbest one. This was the thumbnail for Wednesday's stream. I intended for it to be a sequel to the first stream where we did some Pokemon fusions, because they make me laugh and they remind me of when I was in high school, when I would draw them. However, that stream did not go as planned, so I just drew this for fun, pretty much. It's a combination of Fortress and Gothitelle. Fortress is it's not just a Pokemon, it's two Pokemon. Fortress is like a big, I guess, it evolves from Pineco, which is just a pine cone, but it doesn't look like a pine cone. It looks like a really swollen oyster clam, I guess. And Gothitelle is just a really tall gothic lady. I made it say good afternoon because on my other ones it was saying things like I'm an abomination. I didn't want all of them to be... There you go, two Pokemon. But anyway, I thought it was funny. I don't know. We might do more Pokemon fusions today. It depends on how the chat's feeling. If more people roll in and they're like, no Pokemon fusions, then okay, fine. But, and then I have my sketchbook. I bring it to work with me because I work too many hours to spend as much time drawing at home as I used to. So before work, or before I clock in the morning and during lunch, I try to draw a picture or two. This is a silly sketch I did of the King of Chords. It's a sad little man wearing a big cord on his head, and his scepter's got a cord on it. It's just funny. Then we have a giant squid, because squids and octopi and stuff like that are cool. So I drew one being in the water. I drew this weird robot man hooked up to a big machine, as you can see. There's a bunch of cords and stuff. And then I thought that looks too depressing and like it's some sort of commentary on society or something, so I'll draw a squirrel with a handlebar mustache instead. Oh, thank you. I do like the squid one. I'm not gonna lie. I put more time and effort into that one than I usually put into my lunchtime drawings. Then, let's see what else. I drew Pinkami, which, if you aren't aware of who that is, it's a character I made. I used to post pictures that I drew of her, like, on a daily basis. I haven't been able to as much because I'm not at home as much, but I had access to a Sharpie, thought I'd draw a squirrel. Well, I mean, if you want to, I guess I can send you, if you want a tattoo of the squid and the squirrel, DM me and I'll send you like a still image of it and you give it to your local tattoo man. But anyway, this one is pretty cool. I have an idea for a smaller scale comic. A lot of the comics ideas that I have are like books that are really big undertakings. So I'm always thinking of like, how can I just get my name out there? And there's one I came up with where the story's really simple. I don't imagine it would be any more than like 50 pages. Which I know that's still an undertaking, but compared to some of the other book ideas I've come up with, it's pretty simple. But the main character, these are some sketches of what I thought the main character could look like. One thing I've always had trouble with, or let me rephrase it this way. One thing I've never had trouble with is like cartoony, silly characters. So I wanted to try and draw just like a serious human lady, and that's what all these drawing. Like you'll see a few pages of this character throughout the this little showcasing, and that's what that is. It's just like trying my best to get a grasp on how to just draw a person while still not betraying the way that I draw, I guess. Like it still has like the cartoony anime looking eyes and stuff like that. And I drew this little guy. That's a character that I made before like anyone asks if it's from Kirby or something. But I don't remember what. I think back when I wanted to be a video game developer, I came up with an idea of something that would be kind of like Monkey Ball, and that was one of the characters. I need to pull out that old drawing I did of him, though, because I know it's not completely accurate, but to be fair, I don't bring my entire portfolio with me to work. But yeah, he's a cute little character. Then I drew some ideas for evil robots. This one, I'm trying to make them look a little more sinister. This was, my first go at it. So it still looks pretty cartoony. It looks like if Scrooge McDuck and Huey, Dewey, and Louie had to fight an evil robot, this is probably what it would look like. But then I also wanted to try and draw, like what, it's got this huge, like, lockjaw thing, like big old underbite. What would it look like if it opened its mouth? Let's see, what else? Some more sketches of that character. I think I posted this page on Twitter, so some of y'all might have seen it already. Just trying to draw like some side shots unsuccessfully. Just her standing. Try to get an idea of what the back of her head looks like with her hair and all that. Oh, here's another robot drawing I did for like a... I imagine if this character ends up in the hypothetical comic, I would probably name it Viper because it just looks like a viper. It's got the triangular snake head and some... I'm trying to incorporate some big fangs, trying to find a way to do that. But yeah, I want to do as many cool robot ideas as I can, I suppose, for this mysterious comic idea that I keep talking about. Oh, and that's the last one. I guess after that, I just couldn't find any inspiration. But those aren't all the drawings I have for the week. I did manage to do a few more. Speaking of Pinkami, I still have the first book. It's actually over there. I wrote the script. I've been drawing I've been trying to, like, just kind of sketch out what I want the entire book to look like. I think I actually inked the first couple pages already. Maybe not all the way, but maybe some of them I did. But I did some little concept art and stuff for a new idea in that Pinkami series. The problem with the old one, and by problem, it's not a problem, it's a good problem to have. I want it to be really long. Like, in like the tweet thread I made about it, I said I wanted it to, like, I wish I could show you, but I don't want to just, like, flash my webcam all over my room. But I usually have, like, a manga next to me whenever I'm working on that book. Because I want it to be, like, this size. I want it to be this thick. The problem is, all these chapters are, like, individual little slivers that show up in subscription magazines. Whereas I'm just like that's why they can put out so many so frequently, because the artist behind this is actually doing, like, I don't know, closer to 20 pages per installment, and then they just cram them all together, and that's why some manga seem slightly disjointed. It's like, I know this is a full volume, but all of the chapters inside of it don't lead into each other all that well. I don't mean that in, like, a bad way, so much as that's definitely a story, like specifically talking about Umaru. It's like a slice of life thing. So you start with the premise, and then anything goes after that. But anyhow, my whole goal is to make a book that feels at home on your shelf of comics or manga, or both. But preferably to have those dimensions. However, once I finally overcome that hurdle and I get the ball rolling, I have started ideas for other books in that series. This, as you can tell, this doorway took a bit of inspiration from Spyro. That whenever I think of, like, fantasy worlds, usually the thing that inspires me the most is Spyro. And then I drew a little castle. It's, as you can tell from I don't know if you can see the subtitle, the outside of the Crafter's Castle. It's supposed to be a magic castle that's bigger on the outside than it is on the inside. And I was coming up with ideas for, like, a cover. Somebody texting me? Okay. Someone was texting me. But yeah. Obviously this isn't, like, I wouldn't take this to print, but it was just an idea. of what to do. Let me see if I can try and fit the whole thing in the frame. And I do like the title there. I wish there was a way I could just rip it from this page I did and use it on whatever project I have in the future. But I do like it. I'll probably redo it in the future, but whatever. What else? Oh, anyone who... Well, I'll talk about that last, because I also mentioned... I did some other drawings of the girl from that comic project on some nice comic paper, just to see how she looked in grayscale, like finished, I guess. One detail that I started working, or that I experimented with a little more, was I didn't just want to give her like a generic robot arm or anything, even though it's there. What I mean is I don't want that to be the only thing. The whole point, I'm trying to think of a way without spoiling it before I've even announced it, but there's a world where there's like a robot virus, and people can get it, and once they get it, if they, I guess, give in to its abilities more and more, it takes over their body. So that's where the robot arm comes from. But I also toyed with the idea of like just giving her, typically when I do a nose on like these types of characters, like with Pinkami, I just do a little slash like that, and that's about it. But with her, I tried to like basically put like a little microchip for a nose and see how that looked. I think it looks a little goofy, but I don't know. You'll be the judge. If you think it's cool, let me know. Or if you think it's a cool idea, but maybe I executed it not as well. If you think it just looks good, period. Just, feel free to let me know. But probably the biggest hurdle I've overcome this week, If you follow my Twitter occasionally, you'll see these weird comics I do, and I say weird in a good way because I want people to like them. There's a series of like 4-panel comics I make called Legman and Snowman. It's about a snowman. He's got arms, but he doesn't have legs, so he can't walk. And then you have Legman, who's just this little abominable ball of flesh with legs. And he can walk, but he doesn't have arms, so he can't grab things. And so the two combine and create Legman and Snowman. And so they go on, not adventures so much as just they discover life without the limbs they didn't have before. And I have a lot of ideas for them. Some I'm like, I can't wait to ink them and show them to people because they've made me just laugh. This one, the first 4 or 5 are like kind of origin comics, I guess. There's like a little joke at the end of it and stuff, but it's still to kind of ease you into like, okay, who are these people? What are their personalities? But not only did I draw a rough draft, but I actually inked an entire page and even signed it. And my signature's missing a letter, but don't tell anyone about that. But yeah, if you want like a better shot of this, I posted it on Twitter. But yeah, this is inking one of these pages typically takes me about an hour. I mean, just by looking at it, I would obviously the most intense panel. I wouldn't even call this one intense. It's just unique compared to the rest of the series so far. Very artsy, and I'm proud of it actually. Very proud of it. But typically, the most time-consuming part is doing the border. And the logo, which is not here, so I still have to do that. And inking Snowman's hat. that is probably the most time consuming part of the actual panels. It took me probably longer to ink his hat than it was to do this experimental panel here. But I'm very proud. There were a few panels I had to redo to structure them in like this ladder style. This was the first one I did where it wasn't redoing something I'd already done, and it felt really good within one night to draw it out and then ink it and be like, wow, I've got both of these finished in the same day. And that was I think I did this Thursday night. And that was a work day. Thursday was a work day, and work days are tiring. It's quite a qualm to have. I wouldn't even necessarily call it a good problem to have, because it's not like I make buttloads of money. It'd be one thing if I could live on, just thrive, and have that come at the cost of living my dream. But I don't. I mean, I make more money than I did before, but whatever. We can complain about that on another stream. Let's check the chat. We still have lots of Peggy Mo stuff. If you're watching this, feel free to comment, because we are now entering the part of the stream where we ask the chat what you want to see me draw. Because if it's up to me, I want to have fun. And what I think is fun is Pokemon fusions, because they're funny. And one of the ways I have fun is by making myself laugh and making other people laugh. So, if no one has any suggestions or anything, then I'll probably just do that. However, if you have an objection, let me know, because I don't want to bore people. That's the worst part about live streaming, is now you're entertaining people. No, it's not the worst part. I look forward to it. I'm just still finding an audience, so I don't know what people want, So yeah, we'll poke around on social media, see if anyone's saying things. No one's saying things. That's okay. No one's saying things in the chat. Here, I'll post something in the chat. Do. Okay, I spelled everything. Well, I don't want to say I spelled everything right. I intentionally misspelled Pokemon because I think that's funny. Anyway, in the meantime, there is something I promised to show y'all. I think it was last Sunday, and we just didn't have time to do it. So while I wait for people to show up and just protest, let me see this thing, let me see that thing, how about we go look at that book? So let me pull out Messel wearing sunglasses. Hold on a dang second. There. Hold on a dang second. That'll be my loading screen. Gotta go over to my bookshelf and get something. Oh yeah. Okay, I'm back. And I brought a cool book. That's what I try to specialize in buying, is a cool book. Multiples of them, one could say. Okay, what do y'all think this book is? Do you think it's a children's book? Do you think it's a coloring book? Do you think it's The Yearling? Do you think it's From the Mountains of Madness? No, it's The Making of Earthworm Jim by Doug TeNapel and Mark Lorenzen. It's a very cool book, very weighty. I am a sucker for video game encyclopedia stuff. I've got 3 books all about The Legend of Zelda. The biggest one I own is specifically about Breath of the Wild, which is my favorite Zelda game. I know that it might sound like I'm a shill because that's the newest one. Well, you're wrong. Link's Awakening's the newest one. I haven't even played it. But Breath of the Wild was just an awesome game. I haven't even played Earthworm Jim, but this showed up on Doug TeNapel's Shopify, and I had to have it because whenever the original Earthworm Jim comic campaign was going on, I didn't have enough money for it. And also, I was like, I don't know how much use I'll get out of it because I've never even played Earthworm Jim. But I've become a big fan of Doug TeNapel's stuff since then. And I thought, I've got the Earthworm Jim comic. I've got Bigfoot Bill 1 and 2 on the way in the next few weeks, presumably. I might as well get the other book that he, kick-started. And it's a wealth of information. And even if all of it falls on deaf ears, it's a really good-looking book. As you can see, Earthworm Jim and Princess What's-Her-Name, or What's-Her-Face, I don't remember what her name is. I guess that's the joke. Are glossy. The lettering is shiny. And when you flip it over, Evil the Cat is also glossy. And the pages themselves are gilded with silver to complement the comic itself being gilded with gold. It's just, and it's hardbound, which is always cool. Always appreciate a hardbound comic or book in general. One of my favorite books that I own, it's like a coffee table book about a specific period in Japanese art history. And it's like one of the coolest books I own. So, but I own a bunch of other really cool ones, and usually the litmus test is it hardbound? And this one is, I'm trying to bend it, but I can't. So let us flip open to a random page, shall we? Let's see what's in this bad boy. Here's Mark Lorenzen. I'm hoping I pronounced his name right. All about Doug talking about Mark. I think one of the first pages is the vice versa, Mark talking about Doug. Let's read this. I got the job first at Blue Sky. I'm way more aggressive at scamming than Mark, so I'm always going to get the job first. He came on the next year, and we got to work on Jurassic Park Genesis together. I was the lead animator, and he was the backgrounder/level designer. What a freaking miracle that we got to make a good salary and work on a game together. That's all you're getting from that page. Oh, this is about the making of the Earthworm Jim comic. Let's see. Yeah, it's just like a little bit of step-by-step stuff. If I can turn the page, there we go. Just a lot of words. I will read them at some point. Because like I said, this kind of stuff, I just eat it up. I love knowledge, but more importantly, I love knowledge about things that aren't really that important in the long run, like video games. But yeah, this is a cool book. I know enough about Earthworm Jim to know that this is like a recreation of the loading screen, which is funny. It's just cows. I think that whenever you bought the comic, they gave you a double-sided poster, and this was the other side. I probably won't use that side, but it's funny. It's a nice thought. So yeah, that was the big surprise I didn't get to on Wednesday. This is a cool book. And it only took like 2 days for it to get here. That's like Amazon levels of fast. But really, I feel like if it was up to Doug TeNapel and his shop guy, like every single shipment would be 2 days. Usually they seem to be at the mercy of USPS, which has not been doing its job very consistently and well. Little story, complaint about USPS, not about this and not about the other thing I'm about to talk about, but USPS specifically. Maybe 2-3 weeks ago, I was checking out Doug TeNapel's store, and he had cardboard. I don't mean actual cardboard. He made a comic called Cardboard. Well, actually, that's cool. There's actually we got a Doug TeNapel working timeline thing. Now let me crack the page open. Let's see. So, in West Philadelphia, no, I'm just kidding. In 2012, he made a graphic novel called Cardboard. And in 2020, I bought that graphic novel from his shop. A week later, I still hadn't gotten it. I've been watching it on USPS. Then I think it was the next week, they'd put Earthworm Jim and the Making of Earthworm Jim on his store. I bought it Thursday afternoon or morning. I don't remember. I bought it while I was at work. And then that Saturday, it showed up on my doorstep in the coolest box you've ever seen. I still have yet to get Cardboard. It's been at the USPS place in the next town over. Like, I could drive over a bridge and be at that USPS. And I don't mean like a bridge 20 minutes away. I mean a bridge 2 minutes away. And be at that USPS. It's been there over a week. This comic that I just want to read. Like, I'm sure it's a good comic. And like I said, this has nothing to do with Doug TeNapel. Everything I bought from his store has gotten to its destination in a timely fashion. I bought gear, and it got here in like less than a week. I bought my best friend the first edition of Bigfoot Bill. I think that got there in like a week or so. I bought an art print of Clayman from the Neverhood, and that got here in less than a week. I bought this book in the time frame of me waiting for Cardboard to get here, and it showed up 2 days later. So it's obviously not Doug TeNapel's fault, or his store. So yeah, just hashtag justice for Cardboard. Hopefully, it will be given something, revenge for its mistreatment. But yeah, I bought a few things from that store. I would implore you to get it because you probably have different mail people than I do. Sometimes I get the idea that USPS specifically in my area, there's like two teams. There's the A team, which they're the A team because they're on it. You know, they do good at what they do. And then there's the B team, and B stands for bumbling around, not wanting to do their job. Because like they're the people who are like, just every time I see them, they're super happy and chipper, just gung-ho about doing their job. And then they're the people who, when I got my Earthworm Jim box, it almost looked like they intentionally stabbed a hole in it or something. Not stabbed a hole, but it looked like they punched it with one of their knuckles sticking out or something. And I was just like, what did you do for like the rest of the box to be fine, but there to be like an indention that broke the surface in this one spot? But anyway, what's going on? Click to read my unread notifications. Oh, that was an hour ago. Thank heavens. Anyway, so I give this book a 10 out of 10. It's a good book. I haven't finished reading it, but it's a good book anyway. What I've read of it is very informative, especially as someone who, you know, I've seen people play Earthworm Jim, and I've watched plenty of live streams from Doug TeNapel, and he's probably talked about Earthworm Jim a few times, because that's usually what people know him from. It's either that, or the Neverhood, or Cat Scratch. I don't know how often people are like, oh my gosh, it's Doug TeNapel. I loved Black Cherry. It's usually Earthworm Jim. But, so yeah, he probably talks about stuff like that pretty infrequently, but still occasionally, which, that's the same thing. But that being said, to like have it in tome form is the coolest thing. Like I said, I'm a sucker for this kind of stuff. Like one day, civilization will come crumbling down, and people will be looking for lost knowledge. And they'll find my house, and they'll be like, well, we don't know how to restart civilization, but at least we know how Earthworm Jim was made. And what the art in Splatoon looked like, and the thought process that went into making Breath of the Wild. I have some other important stuff. Not much, but some. Alright, let's set that aside. We still don't have anyone in the chat. If you're there, if you're listening, say something, because I like input. And I want to go for an hour, and we have only crossed the halfway point by a few minutes. So, come on, fellas. In the meantime, I'm going to do some Pokemon fusions because there's no one here to object. I'm even going to write about it on Twitter. Pokemon fusion time, baby. There we go. And I'll do the same for Parlor, because I know there's people on Parlor, and there's people who check Parlor a little more frequently than Twitter. I'm not one of them, but, you know, more power to you. Drawing some... Oh, let's spell drawing right. Drawing some Pokemon fusions. Now, you might be asking yourself, Cabbagehead, why do you draw Pokemon so much? And to that, I say, first and foremost, chill out, it's my channel. Second of all, well, I kind of grew up with them. And part of me wants to say that's where my love of silly cartoon designs with just a variety of just, you know, just those franchises with a very interesting wide variety of a cast of characters, you know, where they all look like they belong to the same world, but at the same time it's like, wow, one person drew all these? Well, in Pokemon's case, no. One person didn't. I mean, one person drew them, but invented them. It was a team effort. But it's like, I want to be like the one-man band version of that. So what we're going to do, instead of what we did last time, and don't worry, I'll actually finish a sentence. What we did last time was I generated what the fusion would look like. But what I want to do is take the principle of the fusion. What I grew up with was you had the first Pokemon determines the color palette and the face, and the second Pokemon determines the body. And you mash them together, and you have something beautiful. One of these days, I'll do a stream or a video or something where we just absorb and appreciate what we have available to us. Or, not that. What I did in high school. I did a bunch of Pokemon fusions then, too. Also, if we have any viewers, instead of me just looking up a Pokemon, if you have one you want to see me fuse with something else, leave it in the chat. And I'll do it, even if I'm not good at drawing that Pokemon. There are a few where I'm probably not good at them, but I have yet to find one. I thought I would have been bad at Giratina, but I actually, if I still have that drawing, let's see. That was the Giratina Crobat fusion I made. I think that turned out pretty good considering the source material. So maybe I'll do it pretty good. I'll do it justice. I'll do it as much justice as I can, given the premise of fusing it with another living creature. So I'll give y'all a few minutes to comment while I find some sort of Pokemon generator or something. Even if you're not, you know, Pokemon savvy, or you don't care what I draw, just, you know, feel free to say something in the chat. If you want to ask me something, if you want to, I don't know, just let your voice be heard. This is a place for letting your voice be heard. Okay. But in the meantime, I'm not looking at the chat. I'm looking up Pokemon Generate. No, ow! Spelled generator wrong. Alrighty. No, I don't want to generate 6. I just want to generate 1. Alrighty. We'll refresh chat just in case someone decided to say something and it didn't show up. Doesn't look like that was the case, but it's always nice to imagine. Alrighty. Dude, I don't care what any of these are. Alright, generate. Cottony's too simple. Magneton. Here, let's generate 6 Pokemon at once. I've got a little list here, but this is the last chance to make your voice heard. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'll be a little slower because I know the chat can be slow. Okay. The first one we'll go with is Caesar. Alright, let me get a pencil. Caesar's a fan favorite. So, I saw it on this generated list. Come on, there's the pencil. There you are, your rapscallion. Alright. Caesar. And I'll have to look up a picture of Caesar later. Just because I want it to be accurate. I don't want it to be off of whatchamacallit, memory. That would be an interesting one to do. Let's flex our muscle. Pokemon 2 will be Victory Bell. Now, what I said was Pokemon 1 determines... Alright, let me make sure that... Okay, maybe y'all can see that. They determine the color and the face. And Pokemon 2 determines the body shape. Now, for those of you who aren't in the know, Caesar is a very humanoid Pokemon. Its face is just kind of like an armored anime face. Not a very pronounced mouth, big eyes. Looks like it's got some armor. The colors aren't a problem. However, Victory Bell's body, it's a floating pitcher plant. So it's going to be interesting to find a way to combine the face of Caesar with the body of Victory Bell. Because Victory Bell is shaped like a pot. Its mouth is like the hole of the vase, if you will. Caesar, like I said, is humanoid. So but I also don't want to be lazy and just put Caesar's head on like a bag. Like take away Victory Bell's mouth and replace it with Caesar's head. It might be what I have to do, but we'll see how it goes. Let me look up Caesar, because I want to have references. Make that its own page. Put that off to the side. Alright, and then Victory Bell. We will do the same. Make that page smaller, minimize, and then shrink. And I'll try and shrink it down to where I can still see the chat. Just in case someone says something. Okay. So, first let's draw a rough estimate of what Victory Bell looks like. So we'll start with the mouth. Now just keep in mind, like I said, this is a rough estimate. Just to give you an idea of what we're working with. Eventually we'll erase it and we'll do some marker to bolden the lines and finalize things, I guess. Then you got one of these little things, because like I said, it's a pitcher plant. You want it to be a little more bulbous because it's a cartoon character. It might be a pitcher plant, but it's still a cartoony pitcher plant. It's got some leaves here. They're big leaves where like the bottoms kind of bend. And there isn't really any way that you know. It's like, I don't know how this is attached to the body per se. And speaking of which, now's a good time to talk about Victory Bell's tail, which isn't a tail so much as a leaf that covers its mouth. More like that. And then it extends into a vine like this. Now the fun of doing it this way is I have no clue how the website would generate this fusion, because there's a website I typically use, but I decided today I want to do my own thing, see if I can make it just as funny. But yeah, then we'll actually make Victory Bell's mouth look like it has an opening, it has some fangs, because it's carnivorous. That's how it works in the real world too. If a carnivorous plant exists, of course it's got fangs, because you know, you want to draw in your prey, make it feel safe by having fangs. And then there's some little blotches over its body and stuff. Give it a cooler look, I guess. Polka dots, but with squares and triangles instead. Almost looks like a cartoonish dinosaur egg. And I think that's the whole design. I think it has a little bump, too. But other than that, that's it. Now, that's Victory Bell. We take the body of this thing and apply Caesar's head to it. I might add some other parts. I have an idea for what I want to do. So right off the bat, what we'll do is we'll get rid of the plant thing, or the leaf covering the mouth. And we're going to have, let me redraw the mouth there. We'll have the vine coming out of the mouth. Maybe kind of snake-like, so it doesn't look like it's coming out of the roof of its mouth. And this will be where Caesar's head comes in. So we're going to combine them in kind of an unorthodox fashion. Now Caesar has 3 prongs, three spiky doodads on its head like this. Its head kind of ends in a point. It's rounded, but for the most part, but it kind of ends in a point like this, I believe. That's how it looks. It's got some angry eyes. That's why it's such a cool Pokemon, because it looks angry. It's humanoid and looks angry. That's really all you need when it comes to Pokemon. Then yellow, and then black. And that is Caesar. Well, his head. Now, instead of these plants, what's Caesar without some Caesars? Am I right? So we're gonna kind of do these rounded doodads that Victory Bell has at the bottom here, and we're gonna add some arms. Like this. What else we got? Then we'll put these little things, kind of connects the, you know, where it doesn't just start being rounded. First you gotta have it, you gotta ease into the roundness, you know. Okay, and it has like these fake eye things on its pinchers. Makes everything look like, there we go, like it's a weird monster or something. And then the bottom part doesn't have any spikes or anything. Alright, same thing with this side. There we go. Still no one in the chat, that's okay. I'm having fun. That's all that matters. However, bonus points if other people have. Alright. And then we'll get rid of the tail too. For good measure, we'll add Caesar's wings. Now his wings, they have like added protection, I guess. It almost looks like there's some sort of like foldy thing that's attached to his body to make what would otherwise be flimsy wings more protected, I guess. Almost like they put the wings in a binder or something. Like the wings are a piece of paper. And this thing is the binder rings. There we go. And then he's also got some smaller wings like this. Here we go. And those have two lines like that. There. Alright. I'm happy with that. Funnily enough, I'm happy with that. Now, let us remember the other part of the deal was color palette is determined by Pokemon 1. So we need some dark red. We need some... That's silver. I want gray, not silver. We want some dark gray. And we want some yellow. Maybe a brighter yellow. There we go. So let's see. What other colors are available to us? Caesar isn't a terribly colorful Pokemon. There are like 4 notable colors on Victory Bell. There's green, yellow, pink, and like a greenish gray. I guess what we can do is in place of the green, or in place of the pink, we can do like a brighter red. Alright. There. I think we're good. So let's start inking. Caesar's head might look a little bloated. That's okay, because I'm not entering this in some sort of contest, so it'll still turn out okay. Believe me. Try to be a little more even with the lines there. I think I did a pretty good job with that. There. I think, let's see. I think I'll leave the eyes out of the Victory Bell portion of this because, yeah, I want it to look like it's one being. And we already have a face established. So, sorry, Victory Bell. Do some smaller details before I get to the rest of the body. One thing that would be a cool idea is like reversing the colors. So instead of everything just being Caesar colored, maybe have the Caesar parts colored like Victory Bell. Now I'm not going to do that, I just said it would be an interesting idea. Yeah, like it, maybe at some point just to get kind of experimental, but this is already experimental enough as it is. I think it'd be fun to look up what, like the Pokemon Fusion website would consider the Victory Bell Caesar fusion. Because I know it's not going to be this. This is a little too independent, I guess. It's not really something you could combine 2 sprites into. And that's the qualm with Pokemon Fusions. is it just combines the sprites together, which, it's like funny to laugh at, like, haha, that doesn't make any sense. But it also is great as like a prompt. Like, okay, how can I translate this into something? Because there might be some, like I would imagine if you fused Mr. Mime and Alakazam together, that would work a little bit better, because you could just put Mr. Mime's head on Alakazam's body. They're both already humanoid Pokemon. But if you fuse Tangela with, I don't know, Gengar, then, sorry, somebody's texting me. Give me just a second and I'll finish my thought. I wish I could find a better way to do two things at once. What you want. I'm just letting a member of my family know that I'm using my mobile hotspot, so it doesn't matter what they do to the modem. Okay. Enough dead air. Let's get back to business. But yeah, if you fused like Tangela and Gengar together, one is relatively humanoid and the other is not. It's like very cartoonish. So they would have, I don't know, that honestly, that one, it wouldn't take too much interpretation. Here's a better one. Chansey and Onyx. Chansey is an egg thing with little Kirby limbs. Onyx is a big snake. So that one would be harder to do. It would literally just like zoom in on the face of Chansey and slap it over Onyx, and it wouldn't look like anything. So there's like some room to ask yourself, what is this? What is this actually? I remember there was one I did. It was Ammonite and Persian. Ammonite is like a little prehistoric snail thing, and Persian is like if a house cat turned into a panther. Like, it's built like a panther, but it looks like a house cat, if that makes any sense. And, Ammonite's face, it just looks like two cartoonish bulbous eyes. Hey, another viewer, what's up? We're doing Pokemon fusions. Let me know if you have any suggestions or anything you want to talk about. But right now I'm just talking about why the idea is so inventive. Because whenever when you use the website, it slaps like two Pokemon sprites together, and you're just like, what am I looking at? But that's the joy. It's like, I don't know. Interpret it however you want. It'll probably end up looking funny. I decided to take that spirit and not actually use a website to combine sprites. I just looked up two Pokemon and slapped them together. And right now we are in the coloring process. Let's see. So I believe we settled on a lighter red to replace the pink. Now, I don't intend for this to be anything fancy, but I still want it to look good. So I'll find a happy medium between a masterpiece and disgusting. But anyway, I hope that y'all's day is going well. Mine's been pretty good. It's funny, I did everything I could to prepare for this stream, but nothing can really prepare you for the internet deciding to just give up. And of course it decided to happen specifically at 4 o'clock this afternoon, which is when I decided to stream. It was very nice. all day it worked. It worked fine when I wanted to watch YouTube on my phone. It worked fine when I was looking at Twitter on my computer and when I was writing. I guess it doesn't really affect when I'm writing, but whatever. And then specifically at like 4:15, it's like, oh well, no more. You had your shot, pal. So now we are coloring the fusion. I haven't thought of a name. Maybe if we get some people who are just really enthusiastic in the chat. I don't know. Typically what it does is it like takes the first one or two syllables of the first Pokemon and like the last two of the second one. But like I said, I want to be independent of a website when I fuse my Pokemon. I'm not in high school anymore. I can think for myself. Dagnabbit. What other parts of this thing? Okay. Alright, so we're replacing all like the normal green parts with red. Or with dark red. Sounds good to me. Yeah, we'll color this part darker because it's inside. Now what are we going to replace yellow with? That's the question. Gray? No. I guess we'll color it red too. It'll just be one big old red blob. But yeah, other than all that, my day's been pretty good. It was a day off from work, which is always nice, because then you get to sleep in. And I appreciate sleep so much more now that I get less of it. I mean, that's one of the reasons I do streams now, not because of sleep. Just because it's always been a thing I wanted to do, just to like pal around with people on the internet and draw pictures and make funny videos and stuff. And I thought, you know, I only have so much free time. I might as well use some of it as an incentive to draw or like practice drawing. And, you know, kill two birds with one stone, do that, and also live stream at the same time. Or like make videos or something at the same time. Because I see other people do that kind of stuff. You know, and I'm just like, I want to be right there with them. I feel like I'm an interest. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm like the most interesting man in the world, but I feel like if someone came in and asked me a question, maybe I'd have a cool thought process about it. I don't know. And also, I don't know how many people are out there like, hey, check out my drawing skills. I can draw two Pokemon smashed together by a small child. That's pretty cool, right? Why don't you like and subscribe to this video? You know, I don't know too many people who do that personally. They might be out there. I don't know about them. Alright, now we'll color the inside of this film. Make this as dark as possible because it's the inside of a dang pitcher plant. Unfortunately, it's going to be really, really red. It's one thing. That's one of the downsides of using Caesar for this fusion, is just how dang red of a Pokemon he is. Like, if you look at him, there's a little bit of gray. But it's like, of all colors to even out red with, you want gray. And then there's like very minimal yellow. Other than that, he's just like dark red completely. Speaking of yellow, we might as well get this part over with. There. And this. Now we aren't going to color his wings because his wings don't really have a color. They're just whitish just like this paper. So what's the point? And we'll color all the spots gray because of what I just said regarding his color scheme. Like maybe if we went with Aurorus, this would be a very colorful Pokemon. That'd be kind of funny. But I don't want to shove every single Pokemon I can think of into a pitcher plant. It's not very interesting. It loses its, or the concept loses its luster once you've done it a couple times. So you have to find new ways of laughing at the silly thing you've drawn. Because if all of them's just, it's a big vase with a face on it, then, well, it's not really about Pokemon fusions anymore. It's just about the silly pitcher plant. I don't know. Alright. Hey, so I believe earlier this week, just trying to do some small talk while I'm just moving my hand back and forth coloring the same surface, but I think it was earlier this week there was a mini Nintendo Direct. I don't know. I feel like it's somewhat on topic since we're coloring two Nintendo characters. That was pretty... here's a hot take. Underwhelming. I know that's not a hot take in within itself. There's a lot of people who think it's underwhelming. But, I don't know. I'm trying to remember everything they announced. I remember the DLC for Cadence of Hyrule. I haven't played Cadence of Hyrule, but I appreciate its existence, and one day I would like to get it. However, the ability to play as Impa and Skull Kid are two things I've wanted in Smash Brothers. And Cadence of Hyrule isn't Smash Brothers, but it still gave me that ability before Smash Brothers did. So I appreciate that. I think that's really cool. Especially Skull Kid. I think they gave an entire page of DLC to him. Like Impa, it's just you can play as Impa. But with Skull Kid, it's a new chapter to the story or something. I don't know much about Crypt of the Necrodancer or whatever the game is called. All I know about is it's an adventure game that's rhythm based. But the fact that they gave Skull Kid, they gave him his dues. He's a fan favorite character from what I can tell. So kudos to them for doing something with him. What else? I think they announced a crud, what was it? A WWE game. I was like, oh wow, great. That's fun. I've never really been into wrestling. It's not that I have anything against it. I didn't grow up watching it, and as an adult, I'm not dude, I can't believe my parents didn't put me in front of wrestling. I'm just that looks fun. I'm probably not going to watch it. I want to say there was something else. I don't want to just assume it was a shooter, a first-person shooter, or third-person, or a second-person, or even a fourth-person, but I want to say it was. I just don't want to assume, because you know what they say about assuming. That makes you look like a real dum-dum. And that didn't interest me, considering I can't even remember what genre it was, let alone what the game was called. And then they announced a remake of, one of the Shin Megami Tensei games, and they finally got around to, showing something of Shin Megami Tensei 5. And I couldn't care less about those games. I don't care about Persona. I don't care about Shin Megami Tensei. It's just something really, more power to you if you like them. I'm not too much into, the genre of teenage kids go kill God. That's just, I don't care about that. And Shin Megami Tensei, and by extension Persona, since that's like a spin-off of it apparently, those are like that trope at its worst, I guess, since they're actually like naming characters. I mean, I think one of the villains is like the actual name of the Judeo-Christian god, and you like team up with Lucifer. I don't want to sound like just some old person who's like getting mad about Pokemon, but I'm pretty sure something like that happens at some point during the series. It's just, it's a little heavy-handed as someone who believes in religion. You know, I understand it's a video game, and like my belief system isn't going to come crashing down because some Japanese person decided, let's put religious figures in a video game and arbitrarily assign whether or not they're good or bad in retrospect or like later in life. Like that's whatever. It's just, it doesn't excite me. You want to get me excited? Localize Brain Age, localize Famicom Detective Club, announce, what's something else you could announce? A new Rhythm Heaven, a new Elite Beat Agents, just something. I understand Shin Megami Tensei isn't third party. That was kind of the whole point of that direct, was that none of it was first party, except kind of Cadence of Hyrule DLC. But yeah, all in all, I was like, was that really it? Like, I didn't even have an opportunity to form any expectations because I found out about the direct less than 24 hours before it happened. And I wasn't even thinking, wow, this is exciting. I was thinking, okay, there's something to watch while I'm at work. In the meantime, I'm going to sleep because I have to wake up for work very early tomorrow morning. Okay, what are we going to name this thing? I got a name, but I want to see if anyone else has a name for it. Doom, 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 doom. That's not how the song goes. Oh well, I beat you to the punch. Say hello to Sizzy Bell. Like I said, it's a very red thing. That's okay, though. I think it's funny. It looks weird to what I was going for, so I consider this a win. Alrighty. Whoa! Someone liked this video. Smash that like button for Sizzy Bell. Am I right? At least 2 people had that thought cross their mind and went through with it, I guess. Oh, well. Well, I consider this a win. I showed everyone all my cool art I've drawn throughout the week. I actually... this is my waiting screen. I'm probably going to use it more just because I think it's pretty good. I drew this in like less than 10 minutes. I just kind of cobbled it together before the original stream started. But we drew that. We drew Sizzy Bell. We looked at the making of Earthworm Jim, and I talked about how USPS still hasn't given me cardboard. I'd say it's been an eventful stream. We went longer than the first one. So I'll give, if anyone wants to write something in the chat, ask me about whatever, something. I'll ramble on for a few more minutes, try to think of something I want to talk about. And then we'll probably end here. It's almost 6. We'll end things at 6. But, let's see. One thing I've been experimenting with is I got these water-based ink marker things. They aren't really markers so much as like watercolor pens. I don't know. I guess that's what a marker is. But they're like fancy markers. And I really like them, but I've never been good at like markers and paint and stuff like that. I so I've been trying to practice, but I don't want to practice on things I've actually drawn. Um, Trying to think of something I did. I think I did this. This was kind of I showed this earlier in the stream. I like wanted to make a mock-up of what I want one of my comics to like title cover pages to look like. And I did it with these markers. Obviously, I'm no professional with it because I think this was literally the first thing I drew with them or colored with them, and thought, this gets my point across. I didn't even think like that's a good drawing. I was just like, this gets across what I want it to look like. But yeah, I think going forward I'll try and use them more though. I have a problem with like on this part, the colors, they blend together really well in my opinion. But then on this part, it's like, there's some dark spots. There's like this line. It's just kind of annoying. And then working with yellow is always irritating because it's like the color yellow isn't even a color. It's just like the spot on the Roy G. Biv spectrum where it acts as a catalyst to make something else look murky. It's just like this pristine thing, and anything it touches taints it, and it always irritates me. But I'm trying to work around that. I'm also trying to work on lightning effects. Typically, I draw like, if you can see, typically that's the way I draw lightning, but I have to find a way to make it look more powerful. Like, if you get zapped by that, it just kind of looks cartoonish. Like, it gets it across that, there's lightning, but it doesn't look like, oh, wow, that's dangerous. And, like, if I get blasted by it, I'm going to have, like, a quadrillion megawatts of energy coursing through my veins. So what I want to try and do is, like, practice more on drawing multiple, like, crackles of electricity, like, climbing up each other, and to make it look like an energy beam or something. However, I want to keep it in a fantasy setting, so it's not like an actual laser beam. It's just like this kind of concentrated blast of like 20 lightning bolts at once. I don't know. There's some things... That's honestly one of the most daunting things about working in comics, in my opinion. For me, everyone has their issues, but for me, it's like coming to grips with the fact that I don't have a lot of experience with a lot of experience with action shots and stuff like that. One thing I'm thinking about doing is like getting like those posable action figures. Not like a, I want to like to get like an exclusive Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle action figure and like make it a business expense. No, I mean like just one of those generic, it's not an actual character, it's just like a posable action figure to help you understand how people move, I guess. I want to get a couple of those with different physiques. And, excuse me, I need some water. My voice is like going out. Excuse me. And pose them in different ways to kind of help me, and then maybe even like take a picture of them with like with a camera from different angles to help me plan out like action poses and whatnot. Because I feel like if I go from there, it'll make things a lot easier. But I'm going to be practicing. I don't have any work tomorrow. All I have is church, and then I'll come back, and the rest of the day is open to me. I mean, heck, it's only 6 o'clock. Typically, Saturday is a time I use to play video games with my friend who lives in another state. We don't ever see each other, so that's like the only time we get to just like hang out. But so even if he were to call me immediately when I end the stream, and we hung out until the second my head hits the pillow and I go to bed, I still have tomorrow to practice things. But yeah, I'm confident that even if my job just takes up too much time and energy, that I can still get some stuff done. And even if I don't get as much done as I want, I have a lot of fun drawing just silly things like this and hanging out with the chat and talking with people. So, if you haven't already, like the video. I'm about to end the stream, but maybe someone else will want to watch it, and that'll help it spread around. If you've liked the stuff you've seen and you want to engage with me a little more, or just like stalk the stream, I do that kind of stuff too, where I don't have anything insightful to say or ask, but this person's still interesting. We'll go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I intend to do a lot more of these. I know I did a Sunday stream last week. I don't know if I'll do one this week, because if I can help it, I'd like to find a way to make my internet more reliable, because the past 2 streams have had internet hiccups. But I would imagine I'll have another stream Saturday, like next Saturday. Probably around the same time, 4 o'clock. Alright, well, this has been a pretty fun stream.